Chapter 17, the divisions of faith. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scripture, but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Okay, we'll read this purport starting with Elijah. And the order will be Elijah, Isaac, Muchu, and Anandi.
Okay.
Because she's
In the 4th chapter, 39th verse, it is said that a person faithful to a particular type of worship gradually becomes elevated to the stage of knowledge and attains the highest perfectional stage of peace and prosperity. In the 16th chapter, it is concluded that one who does not follow these principles laid down in the scriptures is called a sura, demon, and one who follows the scriptural injunctions faithfully is called a diva, or demigod.
Now, if one with faith follows some rules which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunctions, what is his position? This doubt of Arjuna is to be cleared by Krishna. Are those who create some sort of God by selecting a human being and placing their faith in him, worshipping in goodness, passion, or ignorance? Do such persons attain the perfectional stage of life? Is it possible for them to be situated in real knowledge and elevate themselves to the highest perfectional stage? To those who do not follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but who have faith in something and worship gods and demigods, and men attain success in their effort? Arjuna is putting these questions to Krishna.
Okay, Isaac just carried it away. You've transgressed the injunctions of reading more than two sentences.
There was no full stops, was there? I didn't see any full stops.
They're all question marks. That's
There's a question. Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, so that's what
I had no idea.
Is he following protocol?
Yes.
He is? Really? A question will... Oh.
No,
okay.
but it's fine. It's fine. It's what Krishna wanted.
Okay, but we're just trying to establish this for the future. We need to establish law and order here. Otherwise, we're dangerous.
No, we can break the rules sometime.
Right here, you're a demon if you don't follow the regulations.
Listen, Prabhupada has a run-on sentence. I mean, he doesn't, where there should be 5 sentences, he has it all in 1 sentence. So it's okay. I mean, seriously.
All right, so Isaac's not a demon.
No.
Okay, good. I was worried. All right. Hey, Trevor's here. Chapter 17, Trevor. We just got started.
Okay.
Mochu, go ahead. Text 2.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of 3 kinds: in goodness, in passion, and in ignorance. Now hear about this.
Let's read this purport. Ananti, are you ready?
Yes. Those who know the rules and regulations of the scriptures, but out of laziness or indolence, give up following these rules and regulations are governed by the modes of material nature. According to their previous activities in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, they acquire a nature which is of a specific quality.
And Trevor, are you ready?
Yeah. The association of the living entity with the different nature has been going on perpetually. Since the living entity is in contact with material nature, he acquires different types of mentality according to his association with the material modes. But this nature can be changed if one associates with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules in the scriptures.
And Elijah, yeah, go ahead.
Gradually, one can change his position from ignorance to goodness or from passion to goodness. The conclusion is that blind faith is a particular mode of nature. In a particular mode of nature, cannot help a person become elevated to the professional stage.
Okay, so we can move. And that was something that kind of threw me off in the last chapter. It said that the demons are born that way and they develop those demonic qualities in the womb of their mothers, and thus they're cast into perpetual demon life. And it just seemed like it was already set and there's no changing that. But here he says, let's see. How is it changed? His nature can be changed if one associates with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules and the scriptures. Gradually, one can change his position from ignorance to goodness, from passion to goodness. All right, go ahead, Isaac.
Where are we?
What sentence do you leave off on, Elijah?
Perfectional stage.
One has to consider things carefully with intelligence and the association of a bona fide spiritual master. Thus, one can change his position to a higher mood of nature.
Boy, it's a lot being pinned on that bona fide spiritual master. And at the time when Prabhupada wrote this, it wasn't like there was a lot of bona fide spiritual masters around to consult with or to be in association with. He had his movement just starting, and it was, I think, maybe like 2 little tiny temples at the time when they worked on this book. He was thinking big.
Yeah.
He's thinking way into the future, and like he really had plans for all of his disciples becoming bona fide spiritual masters. We're going to read about that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Lord Chaitanya is asking everyone to become a guru of sorts. And then the purport to that verse, Prabhupada makes it very clear. He's not just saying be an instructing guru or kind of a helping guru, but like an initiating, full-on guru. Everybody should become one. There's some pretty strong language in there. Okay, so that's us. So how do you like that? Does that make you feel encouraged? Like, I better pay attention because at some point you're going to be driving. We're going to pass this whole thing over to you. And you're going to be that bona fide spiritual master that's going to help lift people from ignorance up into goodness, from passion into goodness. The conclusion is that blind faith in a particular mode of nature cannot help a person become elevated to the perfectional stage. So just having faith in some procedure that has been dictated to you by the modes of passion or ignorance or even goodness won't bring you to the perfectional stage. One has to consider things carefully with intelligence in the association of a bona fide spiritual master. Thus one can change his position to a higher mode of nature. Interesting, hopeful, hope-giving. Anybody else have anything they see in there?
Well, you can only become a guru if you serve the guru. And the guru gives you diksha, initiation. You can't just decide, well, I'm going to become a guru.
Yeah. Good point. So there you have it, everybody. Find a guru, take initiation, follow everything, and then help other people.
It's one of the greatest things, to serve the guru. They say even a fool. You could be a fool and serve the guru. and you will have full knowledge.
Yeah, as Bhakti Tirtha Swami said, from a fool to a tool.
Did he?
You can be a fool, and the spiritual master will turn you into a tool. Suprita's with us. We're in chapter 17. We're about to read text 3, and you will be after Trevor. So who finished off this? Was it Isaac?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Muchu, text 3.
O son of Bharat, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired.
And the purport. Okay, I remember when Matthew was with us on this one. We had a long discussion about this word faith, because in the Christian tradition, it kind of has a different meaning. Shall we read this purport too? It is pretty important. I think this whole chapter kind of pivots on this verse, because basically what this verse is saying is that we are our faith. Whatever we believe in, that defines what we are. If you believe that you're a total loser and hopeless, you're right. If you believe in yourself, if you believe that you can be successful, you're right. It's the same person. It's if you have that kind of faith in yourself, of course there can be a misled faith, and so that's also being addressed in this chapter, as Prabhupada pointed out in that purport. Blind faith in one of the modes of nature. Where is that? Looking for that in the, there it is. The conclusion is that blind faith in a particular mode of nature cannot help a person become elevated to the perfectional stage. So just having faith is not going to make you successful. It's having the right kind of faith in the right kind of thing. So read the verse again, Moshe.
O son of Bharat, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired.
Okay, and then the purport.
Everyone has a particular type of faith, regardless of what he is, but his faith is considered good, passionate, or ignorant according to the nature he has acquired.
Thus, according to his particular type of faith, one associates with certain persons. Now, the real fact is that every living being, as is stated in the 15th chapter, is originally a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord.
Therefore, one is originally transcendental to all the modes of material nature. But when one forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and comes into contact with the material nature in conditional life, he generates his own position by association with different varieties of material nature.
The resultant artificial faith and existence are only material. Although one may be conducted by some impression or some conception of life, originally he is Nirguna or transcendental.
Therefore, one has to become cleansed of the material contamination that he has acquired in order to regain his relationship with the Supreme Lord. That is the only path back without fear, Krishna consciousness.
If one is situated in Krishna consciousness, then that path is guaranteed for his elevation to the perfectional stage. If one does not take to this path of self-realization, then he is surely to be conducted by the influence of the modes of nature.
The word Shraddha or faith is very significant in this verse. Shraddha or faith originally comes out of the mode of goodness.
One's faith
Oh,
may be.
one's faith,
Sorry.
sorry, I can't count. Go ahead. Go
An English major, not a math major.
ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
One's faith may be in a demigod or some created god or some mental concoction. One's strong faith is supposed to be productive of works of material goodness.
But in material conditional life, no works are completely purified. They are mixed.
They are not in pure goodness. Pure goodness is transcendental. In purified goodness, one can understand the real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay, is anybody following what's going on here? What he's talking about?
Not really, I'm drifting off.
Yeah. It is kind of a hard thing to follow. I get what he's talking about, but I'll be impressed if anyone else caught it. Anybody? Okay, you guys are honest.
I think I know like a little bit, but
Okay,
I don't know if I'm correct. Like if
tell us.
if one forgets his relationship with the Lord, then he's put in different modes of material nature and he gets carried away. And he's forced to act upon the mode that he's in. So he has to try to remember that relationship with Krishna and then become more Krishna conscious. Then maybe he will be in a better mood.
Okay, good. That is good. Let's read it over again. I'll skim through it. The word Shraddha or faith is significant in this verse. Shraddha or faith originally comes out of the mode of goodness. I thought that was kind of interesting. One's faith may be in a demigod or some created god or some mental concoction. One's strong faith is supposed to be productive of works of material goodness. But in material conditioned life, no works are completely purified. They are mixed. They are not in pure goodness. So even if you are in material goodness, you're not in pure goodness. And then that's when he talks about pure goodness is transcendental. In purified goodness, one can understand the real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's a different category from the material mode of goodness. This is called Vasudev. Vasudev is that pure mode of goodness, and that's what constitutes the spiritual realm. Okay, did anybody follow what I just said?
Yes.
You got it? Okay. Elijah's smiling. Did you get it, Elijah?
Huh?
Did you get it?
No.
Okay. Yeah, you just got to hear it like 30 or 40 more times. What did you get, Anandi?
Well, what came up strongly for me is that Krishna created this universe as like the speaker from Tawako said yesterday. He gave us free will. And that bhajan that people sing, I don't know the exact words, but oh my Lord, I have knowingly drunk poison. Like even though I, know better, why don't I? So that's what I'm thinking about. We would go to material nature and contaminated by material nature, even though we know, we willingly drink this poison. That's what came to me.
Yeah, he was quoting a song by Narottam Das Thakur.
No, he didn't quote the song. That's the song that I remembered.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. well, here we are. We're under the influence of modes of nature. And but he's going toward this pure goodness theme for some reason. I have a feeling he's going to carry on with it. I just wanted to make sure everybody, well, maybe somebody would sort of get it. The difference between material goodness and pure goodness. Pure goodness is what goes on in the spiritual world. Material goodness is always tinged by passion and ignorance.
Mitra, can I add something?
Yeah.
I kind of was thinking that, like, when he says one's faith may be in a demigod, the demigods rule over the material universe, and so when we're involved in the material modes, we want to try to manipulate it or get involved with the modes to try to liberate ourselves, which is kind of like one of the goals of, you know, the Vedas. But really the only way out of the modes is through Sanatana Dharma, you know, through Krishna worship, bhakti, and things like that. So, but when you're involved in it, it's difficult to see that, because, you know, nature is always giving you the chance to worship it and make the choice between that and Krishna.
Yeah. And we just read a couple chapters back about the banyan tree, the upside down banyan tree, and you can't see where it begins or where it ends, and you're just in it. It's thick. You like being in deep in the woods, and you can't see anything because it's just so dense. So yeah, you get faith in something, and that's all you have. And where was that? He said that when somebody worships some demigod, I make his faith steady so he can devote himself to some kind of practice, and they get results quickly. So it seems like Krishna wants us to have some kind of faith so we can move forward.
Mm.
So let's move on. Let's read some more of this. Whose turn? I lost track. I think it was it Trevor that read last, or Suprita?
I think I did.
All right. Now what happened to Suprita? She's vanished. Go ahead, Elijah.
Okay, where are we? Just give the first couple words. Is it the as long as one's faith?
Yep.
Okay. As long as one's faith is not completely in purified goodness, the faith is subject to contamination by any of the modes of material nature. The contaminated modes of material nature expand to the heart.
Therefore, according to the position of the heart in contact with a particular mode of material nature, one's faith is established. It should be understood that if one's heart is in the mode of goodness, his faith is also in the mode of goodness.
If his heart is in the mode of passion, his faith is also in the mode of passion. And if his heart is in the mode of darkness, illusion, his faith is contaminated.
So another meaning for Shraddha, which is translated here as faith, there's the word Hrida in there, which means the heart. Shraddha means that which you hold in your heart. So the faith that you hold in your heart, if it's in goodness, passion, or ignorance, that will affect us. Okay, go ahead, Anandi.
Thus, we find different types of faith in this world, and there are different types of religion due to different types of faith. The real principle of religious faith is situated in the mode of pure goodness, but because the heart is tainted, we find different types of religious principles. Thus, according to different types of faith, there are different kinds of worship.
Okay, the real principle of religious faith is situated in the mode of pure goodness. Okay, got it. Text 4.
Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods, Those in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits.
All right, last time we skipped this purport. Let's read it. There's some dark stuff in there about worshiping ghosts and spirits. Go ahead, Suprita, the purport to 4.
In this verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead describes different kinds of worshippers according to their external activities. According to scriptural injunction, only the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipable. But those who are not very conversant with or faithful to the scriptural injunctions worship different objects according to their specific situations and the moods of material nature.
Those who are situated in goodness generally worship the demigods. The demigods include Rama, Shiva, and others such as Indra, Kandra, and the sun god.
There are various demigods. Those in goodness worship a particular demigod for a particular purpose.
Similarly, those who are in the mode of passion worship the demons. We recall that during the Second World War, the men in Calcutta worshipped Hitler because thanks to that war, he had amassed a large amount of wealth by dealing in the black market.
Similarly, those in the modes of passion and ignorance generally select a powerful man to be God. They think that anyone can be worshipped as God and that the same results will be obtained.
Now it's clearly described here that those who are in the mode of passion worship and create such gods, and those who are in the mode of ignorance and darkness worship dead spirits. Sometimes people worship at the tomb of some dead man.
Sexual service is also considered to be in the mode of darkness. Similarly, in remote villages in India, there are worshippers of ghosts.
We see that in India, the lower class people sometimes go to the forest, and if they have knowledge that a ghost lives in a tree, they worship that tree and offer sacrifices. These different kinds of worship are not actually God worship.
God worship is for persons who are transcendentally situated in pure goodness. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. When a man is situated in pure goodness, he worships Vasudeva.
The purport is that those who are completely purified of the material modes of nature and who are transcendently situated can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The impersonalists are supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness, and they worship 5 kinds of demigods.
They worship the impersonal Vishnu form in the material world, which is known as philosophized Vishnu. Vishnu is the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the impersonalists, because they do not ultimately believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, imagine that Vishnu form is just another aspect of impersonal Brahman. Similarly, they imagine that Lord Brahma is the impersonal form in the material mode of passion.
Thus, they sometimes describe 5 kinds of gods that are worshipable, but because they think that the actual truth is impersonal Brahman, they dispose of all worshipable objects at the ultimate end. In conclusion, the different qualities of the material modes of nature can be purified through association with persons who are of transcendental nature.
Okay, next verse.
Those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who torture the material elements of the body, as well as the super soul dwelling within, are known to be demons.
Demons again. Okay, next verse.
Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Now here are the distinctions between them.
Foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart.
Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease.
Food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness.
Of sacrifices, the sacrifice performed according to the directions of Scripture as a matter of duty by those who desire no reward is of the nature of goodness.
But the sacrifice performed for some material benefit or for the sake of pride, O chief of the Bharatas, you should know to be in the mode of passion.
Any sacrifice performed without regard for the directions of Scripture, without distribution of prasadam, spiritual food, without chanting of Vedic hymns and remunerations, I don't know,
Yeah, that's right.
to the priests, and without faith is considered to be in the mode of ignorance.
Austerity of the body consists in worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like the father and mother, and in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence.
Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and also in regularly reciting the Vedic literature.
And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind.
Let's read this purport.
Text 16.
Yep.
Okay. To make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. It should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others.
Okay, that first sentence. Read that first sentence again.
To make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification.
Okay. Go on, Suprita.
The best training for the mind is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification.
To purify one's nature is to become Krishna conscious. Satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment.
Okay, read that second sentence again.
Satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment.
Okay. Do they teach that anywhere in school? Have you ever done that at any university? Except
Maybe a university where you're learning to become a monk, like a Catholic school.
Uh-huh.
The Bhaktivedanta College.
Yeah. But it is such a practical thing. I've read this at college campuses with students. We made a big circle and we read this chapter. And we read this purport. And then I'd always stop them and I'd ask, have you learned this in any of your classes? This sentence, satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment. And then I'd ask them, does that make sense? Is that reasonable? And they said, yeah, it does make sense. I get it. How come nobody's teaching us this stuff? we're getting ripped off. And I would say, yeah, you're getting ripped off. What kind of education are they giving you here?
Wow.
They're just filling your head with all kinds of more desires and telling you that's where you're going to find satisfaction. Read the sentence again, Elijah. This is like revolution stuff.
Let's see here. Satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment.
Okay. Go on, Isaac. You get the best sentence in the purport.
I think he's gone to the toilet or something.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Then your turn.
So the first sentence of
The more we think,
the more we think of sense enjoyment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied. In the present age, we are unnecessarily engaged the mind in so many different ways for sense gratification. And so there's no possibility of the mind's becoming satisfied.
so I had a whole group of college students reading this, and when they read that, they were like ready to have a revolution. Like, yeah, we're gonna stop that. It was really cool how that worked. Just giving them Prabhupada's words.
Could you briefly share how that circle came to be at the uni campus?
Well, we would. This was when we lived in Boone, Appalachian State University. Our son was going to school there,
Oh.
and we weren't able to establish a club. And everything we tried to do to get people to come, we just get a small turnout. And so I said, all right, first nice day in spring, we're going right out to where they are, out on the lawn where they all throw frisbees around and hang around and do yoga. And they had a slack line pulled tight between two trees, like a tightrope. And so they're walking on that and bouncing on that. So that was like the main area. And so Mahara made a batch of cookies and a big bucket of khichdi. And we just went around and said, have you had lunch yet? And they sat down, and I brought out my banjo and my mandolin and my guitar. And I just asked people, are you a musician? And they said, yeah.
Wow.
What do you play? And so then they started playing music. And we got this whole party happening. And then I had a box of books, and I said, hey, we're going to read a chapter of Gita. Who wants to join us?
Wow.
So like 16 or 20 people would gather in a circle
Yes.
to read a chapter. And other people would come and listen for a while. And some of the students would say, actually, I'm supposed to be in another class right now, but I can't stop. This is too interesting.
Wow.
We got to finish this chapter. So we'd read this purport, and they were down for it. They were like, this makes sense. And they appreciated Prabhupada's words. And so we would go out there a few days a week when the weather was good, and we just bring out a bucket of khichdi. And then people saw us, then they knew the routine. They would come walking over, and they weren't just coming for the food. They really liked that Bhagavad Gita.
Wow. That's so inspiring.
Probably because you are so good. You like recited in such a nice way.
Well, what I was trying to do was get everybody, we'd go around like 5 verses, and then I'd stop and I'd say, all right, what do you guys see here? What's going on? And everybody gets a turn to say something. And whatever they would say, I would just encourage them. Like, wow, that's brilliant. And even if they were totally wrong, I would just like listen to it. And then I'd say, okay, so what you're saying is, and then I'd repeat it back to them. And then I'd just tweak it a little bit so it would make sense. And then they would be really appreciative. That's where I wanted it to go. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And sometimes they would say really brilliant things. Like one guy, he said, I asked, so what'd you get from this? And he said, it's just so beautiful. I just realized that we're all the same. We are all related. There's no difference between any of us. We're all the same person. We're the same living force. And he just said it so beautifully. I said, that was great. Look, the hairs are standing on end on my arm. I got goosebumps from what you just said. And somebody else said, yeah, look, I got it too. And I said, yeah, this is so cool. We're all the same. Okay, but I'm going to take this a step further. What you said was beautiful. I'm going to take it a little bit further. You guys ready for this? And everybody was like leaning in and like, what? Well, just like when you see the snow out here, each and every snowflake is individual and unique. And in the same way, even though we're all the same person, each of us is individual and unique.
Yeah.
And they all like went, whoa, man, my mind's blown. This is so anyway, that was the fun kind of stuff that we did out there. This was one of the favorite purports to bring up. Okay, so let's move on. Whose turn is it? The best course is was it Elijah that read? No, Muchu read.
Oh, then it's my turn.
Yeah.
The best course is to divert the mind to the Vedic literature, which is full of satisfying stories, as in the Puranas and the Mahabharata. One can take advantage of this knowledge and thus become purified.
The mind should be devoid of duplicity, and one should think of the welfare of all. Silence means that one is always thinking of self-realization.
Okay, Anandi, what does this mean? The mind should be devoid of duplicity. You're the English major. What is duplicity?
Let's see, your mind should be devoid of duplicity, sort of deceiving yourself, that false thinking.
Yeah, duplicity means like kind of like being two-faced.
Yes.
But like having two minds, like I decide I want to do this, but then I do something else and I sabotage myself. It means to be straightforward. To be devoid of duplicity. And one should think of the welfare of all. There's a lot
to think of the.
I think it's like partial to one and partial to another. Maybe it's like that.
Yeah. Duplicity. Who wants to look up that word? Duplicity.
I will.
Yeah, those two sentences are, wow, they really deserve unpacking.
Deceitfulness and double dealing.
Double dealings. Oh, that's a good word. Mind should be free from double dealings. And like what Suprita said, treating one person one way and somebody with a different standard. Having different standards for different people. And one should think of the welfare of all. So welfare of all would mean everybody, not just whatever, people in your group. Silence means that one is always thinking of self-realization. Anyone want to suggest how to unpack that? That's a tough one.
It's just principle to action in inaction. The idea of being on the platform of the soul means you're not doing anything artificial, and you're just existing in your natural state. So like silence as well. Um, you're not making sound. You're just tuning in to your original state.
Okay, that's a good try. I think,
I like that. I like what you said.
yeah. All right. So Anandi approves of it.
I do.
I think it's moving in the right direction. But I feel like there's more to it. But maybe it's right. Trevor's going to straighten us out.
No, but maybe when you're speaking about Krishna associating with devotees, you're not really in silence, but you're kind of it goes along with what he said about action and non-action, I believe. But it's when you're using your senses in a spiritual way. I mean, I think if you didn't, if you weren't supposed to speak about Krishna, then he wouldn't give you the ability to speak and see and everything like that. So.
Okay. And I just noticed the word monam is in the Sanskrit, which means taking on like a vow of silence, but it's translated as gravity for some reason. So he translates it as gravity here, but then in the purport he talks about silence. I don't know why that duplicity has come about.
The
You know,
spiritual duplicity.
Double dealing. He's treating that word. He's giving that word a different standard. Or I don't know. Maybe the editors took it differently, or something. I don't know.
Well, gravity, Prabhupada says, as you know, means you can't tell what they're thinking, so they're silent. They're not just saying what's on their mind. I don't know if that's helpful.
Oh yeah. His definition of gravity, of being grave, like means they can hold a poker face. Like you don't know what's going on there. You don't know when they're elated or when they're scared. So yeah, that can be.
In some yoga places, like when you go on retreats, they put you on like silence retreat. Like they make you observe silence for like 10 days. So at that time, probably you'll realize a lot of things. Maybe that's one of the things here. My mom also observes silence in some days.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it works well for some people. And a devotee I know many years ago, he was out talking to different yoga people, and they said, well, we do that practice of silence. And this devotee said, well, that's nonsense. Our silence is to always be talking about Krishna. And they said, well, that may be so, but are you actually doing that
Yeah.
all the time?
Yeah.
Okay, so gravity or silence of the mind. So yeah, he's saying silence means to use the mind always for thinking of self-realization. Then the next sentence kind of carries on with that. So go ahead. Sukrita, is it your turn?
Yeah. The person in Krishna consciousness observes perfect silence in this sense. Control of the mind means detaching the mind from sense enjoyment.
That's like the third time you said it in this purport. Maybe the fourth time. Keeping that mind away from sense enjoyment. And you may notice that like you're doing pretty good, having a pretty happy day. But then if your mind starts dwelling on one of the sense objects, it can ruin your day just by thinking about it. Something that's out of reach, something that's not yours. What is that? The more we think of sense enjoyment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied. So, everybody's noticed that. Okay, so I'm never going to do that again. So I'll always be happy. Everybody down for that?
They're only that easy.
Yeah, but it starts with that. We could just say, this is stupid. It's not working. I don't want to do this anymore. And what like they do in the 12-step program, admit, I'm totally lost in here. They have all of their steps. One of the first steps is to realize I've got no control over this. And then I need help from a higher power. I cannot do this on my own.
Yeah, the admission of powerlessness.
What's that?
The acknowledgement of powerlessness is the first step.
Yeah. We need help. All right, let's finish up this purport. Go ahead, Elijah.
One should be straightforward in his dealings and therefore purify his existence. All these qualities together constitute austerity and mental activities.
That's a good verse and purport to memorize and just keep that packed in our brains. And, or at least bit by bit, try to pick up a couple words from it. Be straightforward in your dealings and thereby purify your existence. All right, let's move on. Text 17.
This threefold austerity, performed with transcendental faith by men not expecting material benefits, but engaged only for the sake of the Supreme, is called austerity in goodness.
Okay, threefold austerity. Who caught what that is?
Mind, body, and words.
Yeah, man, that was quick. Okay, and how is it in the austerity and the mode of goodness? What makes it work like that?
Not expecting material benefits, but engage only for the sake of the Supreme.
Yeah.
Kind of like that 218. Okay.
What's that?
Kind of like 218. Sukaduke Kritva. Fight for the sake of fighting.
Oh, right, yeah. You're doing it not to get anything, but you're just doing it for the sake of the Supreme. Well, if he's the Supreme, what kind of benefit does he get from you doing it? He doesn't need anything.
It's a game to him.
He doesn't gain anything from that.
No, he's a game. It's a game.
It's a game?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of game?
I don't know. Ask Krishna. I mean, he didn't need to create this universe, but he did.
Why is he spending all this time writing a Bhagavad Gita for us?
Because we have free will and he wants us to choose the proper path.
So you don't have to suffer.
He wants us to suffer?
I said so you don't have to.
Seems like he wants us to
So
suffer.
you don't have to.
what he does to his devotees.
Jeez.
Look what he put Sarjun through. Man, this is awful. I don't know. It's tricky. What's going on here? Anandi says he's playing a game. He set up some kind of game for us. But anyway, if we do it for his sake and we don't expect any kind of material benefits, that's called austerity in the mode of goodness. Okay, next verse. Whose turn?
I think it might be mine. I'm not sure.
I think it's Isaac's.
No, I just went to.
Oh. I
And
paid
where
attention
you
to
just
you.
went. Yeah, go ahead, Anandi.
Penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship is said to be in the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent.
Okay, so they're trying to get something. Get respect, honor, and worship. Next verse.
Penance performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
Charity given out of duty without expectation of return at the proper time and place and to a worthy person is considered to be in the mode of goodness.
The charity performed with the expectation of some return or with the desire for fruitive results or in a grudging mood is said to be charity in the mode of passion.
And charity performed at an impure place at an improper time to unworthy persons or without proper attentions and respect is said to be in the mode of good ignorance.
From the beginning of creation, the three words Tat Sat were used to indicate the supreme absolute truth. These three symbolic representations were used by Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme.
Therefore, transcendentalists undertaking performances of sacrifice, charity, and penance in accordance with scriptural regulations begin always with Om to attain the Supreme.
Without desiring fruitive results, one should perform various kinds of sacrifice, penance, and charity with the word Tat. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from material entanglement.
The absolute truth is the objective of devotional sacrifice, and it is indicated by the word Sat. The performer of such sacrifice is also called Sat, as are all works of sacrifice, penance, and charity, which true to the absolute nature are performed to please the Supreme Person, O son of Pritha.
Anything done as sacrifice, charity, or penance without faith in the Supreme, O son of Pritha, is impermanent. It's called asat and is useless in both this life and the next.
And that is chapter 17. And so it concludes kind of how it began in that purport we read about faith coming from the mode of goodness. And mode of goodness means the pure mode of goodness. And so anything done as sacrifice, charity, or penance without faith in the Supreme is impermanent. It is called asat and is useless both in this life and the next. Yeah, let's read this purport.
I have to head out.
Me too, Mitra.
Okay, Elijah, thanks for joining us.
All right.
And
Bye. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
okay.
Bye-bye.
Hi,
Hare
Paul.
Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, Isaac,
Which one are we reading? The last one?
228.
Anything done without the transcendental objective, whether it be sacrifice, charity, or penance, is useless. Therefore, in this verse, it is declared that such activities are abominable.
Everything should be done for the Supreme in Krishna consciousness. Without such faith and without proper guidance, there can never be any fruit.
In all the Vedic scriptures, faith in the Supreme is advised. In the pursuit of all Vedic instructions, the ultimate goal is the understanding of Krishna.
No one can obtain success without following this principle. Therefore, the best course is to work from the very beginning in Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master.
That is the way to make everything successful. In the conditional state, people are attracted to worshipping demigods, ghosts, or yakshas like Kuvera.
The mode of goodness is better than the modes of passion and ignorance. But one who takes directly to Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all three modes of material nature. Although there is a process of gradual elevation, if one by the association of pure devotees takes directly to Krishna consciousness, that is the best way.
And that is recommended in this chapter. To achieve success in this way, one must first find the proper spiritual master and receive training under his direction.
Then one can achieve faith in the Supreme. When that faith matures in the course of time, it is called love of God.
This love is the ultimate goal of the living entities. One should therefore take to Krishna consciousness directly.
That is the message of this 17th chapter. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport to the 17th chapter of the short in the matter of the divisions of faith.
Okay, chapter 17, Ki Jai. So he talked about austerity, penance, and charity. In the next chapter, that's going to come up really soon. Because Arjun's going to ask, tell me more about sannyas and renunciation. And renunciation and the renounced order of life. And Krishna says, well, there's a lot of different opinions about penance and charity. Some say that all kinds of austerity, charity, and penance should be given up because they're activities. Now, I shall give you my firm opinion, which is that they should never be given up because they purify even great people. So I just noticed that. We just read the description of sacrifice, charity, and penance, and how it should be done in goodness without expecting any return. So he's going to go into more of that in this next chapter. The first half will be a discussion on those things and a lot more about the three modes of nature. And then the night after we'll conclude chapter 18, where he gets into the really super deep, intimate stuff. And boy, we had such a good time reading it last time through. All right, well, Hare Krishna.